Hey, everybody. So I want to do a quick presentation on habits, and this comes from our our first meeting with people when they're interested in our coaching program. We go through this with them in person or in video, depending on where they're located. And I show this picture, and most people have no idea why I would show this picture. And I would typically say something like, you, John, Brian, Adam, Jess, Mary, whatever your name is, do you still brush your teeth? And typically that person will say yes. So far, nobody has said no. And after they say yes, I'll respond with something like, are your parents still alive? And if they say yes, I will say something like, do they still have to call you every morning and remind you? Now, if you're a parent, you understand that you spend many years reminding your kid to brush their teeth, both breakfast and at night, after breakfast in the morning and at night. We spend some considerable amount of time trying to get our kids to brush their teeth. And why? Because we know it's important, because we don't want them to be walking around missing teeth. And most of us adults still brush our teeth. Maybe not breakfast at night, but typically at least at night, once a day. I would say twice a day, some people 3 times a day. But we understand the value because we don't like the dentist and we want to avoid the dentist. Sorry to all you dentists who might be watching this. So this is the opportunity for me to discuss habits, right? So why do we still brush our teeth? That's the question. Now, the presentation goes a slightly different way in person when we're talking about the coaching program, but for you guys watching this video now, why do we still brush our teeth? And this is what we call the Fogg behavior model. Now, BMAP or BMAT is what you might see online. B is the letter for behavior. M is for motivation. A is for ability, and P is for prompts. You might also find T as in triggers, right? Triggers and prompts, depending on the language you want to use. So, behaviors. What the hell does this chart mean? Well, let's talk about motivation and ability. I want to dunk a basketball in a pro NBA game. I may have really high motivation, but my ability to dunk sucks. Now, I might be able to build that one day. It's possible. But how about to dunk in an NBA game? Well, that might be tough at my age right now. I'm thinking that no matter how much motivation I have, that because the ability to be able to dunk in an NBA game is so low that I'm probably, if there's space between the black and the white, I'm there, right? I'm never going to be able to do it. It's not going to happen. Not with that attitude. No, it's not going to happen, for real. But maybe I want to dunk a basketball. Well, my ability is not that great. It just isn't. I'm not a very jumpy type of person. But I do believe it's possible with the right coach and the right programming and the right nutrition that I could get up there and dunk a basketball. I think that's possible. It would have to be 2-hand because I can't grab it with one hand. I got these tiny little hands. I got little Trump hands. They're the greatest hands of all time. They're just not very big. Yeah, so I'd probably have to use 2 hands, but I could probably do it. All right, so this is motivation ability. Now, coaching program or just for general success in life. If you want to do something and do it consistently and turn it into a habit, what do we need? We need the motivation and the ability combination that puts us in this section right over here. We have a huge ability. We don't need that much motivation to do it, right? I'm super talented at running, like Matt Horner, if you're watching this, or Diego. You don't need a lot of motivation to do it, and you get just enough motivation to do it, and you do it well. And so you could do that consistently. Maybe I have great motivation, but only a little bit of ability, right? Only a little bit of ability, but I got great motivation. That puts me up here. That might be like something like following our nutrition plan, especially the first part, right? Just eat from the list, or come work out 3 times a week. It's not crazy difficult to work out 3 times a week, but you got to have just enough motivation to do it, right? So what if I said work out 7 days a week? Well, now the ability might drop a little bit, and that might put me in this category here. And my motivation might also drop as well, which might lower me even more, right? So yeah, this Fogg behavior model is a great way to understand why we do anything. Here's another way to look at it. Motivations, ability, and triggers or prompts. What the hell are these? Motivation, sensation. Freud says we do everything to seek pleasure or avoid pain. That's what Freud says. I think that's mostly true because anticipation, right? Hope and fear. Well, what are we avoiding? We're avoiding fear or going towards hope. Belonging, acceptance or rejection. Well, what are we doing? We're seeking acceptance, which would be pleasure, or avoiding rejection, which would be pain. So really, this right here, pleasure or pain, that's pretty much our motivation. Ability, time, money, physical effort, brain cycles, social deviance, and non-routine. All of these things. This, I find, is where we spend most of our time analyzing our ability to help our clients. Do you have the time? We only got 24 hours. Do you have a schedule? Have we worked out your schedule? How about money? Do you have the money? Can you find the money? Can you work harder to get the money? If you don't have the money, you just literally don't have the money. There are certain things you're not going to be able to buy. Here's what it is. Physical effort. That's a tricky one because physical effort to dunk a ball is different than physical effort to train consistently to maybe dunk the ball one day in the future, right? So you may not possess it now, but can you get it? Brain cycles, just think about mental effort or mental capabilities. Do you have the mental space to devote to doing this? Social deviance and non-routine. How far outside your current routine and schedule does this thing push you? And then your trigger or your prompts. What triggers you to do these things? Can you find this trigger and make it bigger, right? So if you really, really hate the mirror, put mirrors everywhere. And that might trigger you to get your ass to the gym. You don't like the scale? Weigh yourself every day. You'll get over it, right? Do things that make you uncomfortable in order to grow. Find triggers that promote positive behavior, make them more obvious and bigger. Find triggers that promote negative behavior and make them smaller. Okay. Just another way to look at it. Are you clear about your behavior and your goals? Are you triggered to do that behavior, or how can you be triggered? Do you have the ability, or can you build the ability? And have you chosen the right behavior for you, right? If you don't like CrossFit, what if you like Zumba? Well, then, you should do Zumba for fitness. That's really what you should do. What if you like no physical activity? Well, you're kind of screwed. You need to do something. Let's get out there and walk, right? But if your behavior strategy is not working, then turn up the honesty and go over this checklist again. I think that this is very, very true. Lastly, we're going to talk about habits here. When I wake up in the morning, I will pee, flush the toilet, and wash my hands. I added the flush the toilet and wash my hands because I just want to make sure that it's clear we should do these things, right? So that's my tiny habit. Every morning I do this. I think pretty much every human being does this, right? Well, let's talk about our anchor habits. Every morning after I pee, I will weigh myself. Bring a scale with you when you travel. Get a travel scale. But if you put it right next to the toilet, guess what you're going to do every morning? Motivation and ability. What's my motivation to weigh myself? What's my ability? Well, the ability is very, 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 very high because it doesn't require much if it's right next to the toilet. You really won't forget to do it because you're going to have to pee. So it's all about getting just enough motivation or getting your coach to help you. Look, at the end of the day, this is one of my favorite new phrases. Plant a tiny seed in the right spot and it will grow without coaxing. Drop a pumpkin seed in a pile of horse manure and it will turn into a pumpkin as long as it's not an arid desert, right? Like the right climate, the right soil, and a seed accidentally falls into the soil and something will grow, right? So plant a tiny seed in the right spot and it will grow without coaxing. If we can find the behaviors that are not that difficult for us to do consistently, if we can create that environment, it is likely we'll do them repeatedly. And consistency being the mother of habit, that's how we establish habits. Do not be the victim of your circumstances. Instead, be the architect of your environment. Guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope this helps a little bit, and I wish you guys a wonderful week. Bye-bye.